Hey, Seth Miranda here for AdoramaTV, and I am going to jump back into this massive library of videos we have on the Adorama platforms to see what you've been talking about, the questions you've been asking, and see if I can answer them for you. This is Replay Reply. Let's kick it off with a fairly recent video. This one was for the Fujifilm X100VI, and the X100 series is like a legacy series of cameras, right? Like if you're a photo nerd, you know what's up with the X100. However, the X100V and the X100VI, the last two models, have blown up mainstream-wise. Like everybody just wants one of these. They're super popular, and they're awesome cameras. Why wouldn't you? But they're rangefinder style cameras with a fixed lens, and you can actually get some screw-on converters for the front of the lens to make it a little more wide angle or give it a little more telephoto look. And there's also digital zoom inside the camera. So this question is from MRZ1342. Perfect review as always. Thank you. We try. Instead of using extra teleconverter, using digital focal length of 28mm and 50mm from the menu makes the images lower than 40 megapixel because it's using crop modes. Yeah, exactly. Actually, so you're not magically changing a lens because you went into a menu and put digital zoom on it. Digital zoom just means it's changing the field of view. So if you have 40 megapixels and you crop into that sensor to give you the field of view of a longer focal length, you are throwing away the edges of those frames. So this is kind of a little misleading when you guys call it digital zoom when it's really just an in-camera crop. However, if you're someone that wants to work in that space of the field of view of a lens that's a little longer, it gives you that. What's very cool about this series of cameras though is you're not married to it. You're not committed because the raw file will stay the original uncropped version. So if you said later on, man, I really wish I kept that a little wider, or there's a different crop in that frame maybe, or you just wanted that resolution, you have it there. And having 40 megapixels in this camera is kind of the benefit of that resolution, is you have that resolution to sacrifice if you wanted to with crop modes like this, but it's just really giving you the field of view. You're not getting the characteristics of a longer focal length, and you're not magically getting a piece of glass in front of your camera from a menu setting either. The teleconverters absolutely are actual lenses that you put on front of the lens, but you don't lose any light because they stay f2, so I'm a fan of them, and you can see them in this video in use. But yeah, digital zoom is always a crop, and a crop always means you are sacrificing some resolution in that frame. Let's stick with similar themes of the whole like sensor croppy stuff and talk about this Hasselblad XCD 25mm f2.5 video we did with an X2D, which is a medium format system, right? A larger sensor size than you'd find in full frame or APS-C. And because of that, there's that whole lens equivalency thing that we talk about, which is really field of view. It's not an actual equivalency, but let's talk about this. So in the comments, we have IHK Nielsen, which I think I recognize this name. If that's you, Ken, thanks so much for being part of this community and always jumping in the comments and jumping in the live chats. We appreciate you, man. And we appreciate everybody that jumps into this channel, and you're more than welcome to become part of this community. So hit subscribe, don't forget. Anyway, he's saying, we always talk about field of view when it comes to APS-C versus full frame. So would the 25mm on medium format be similar to, say, a 16mm on full frame? So let's talk about what that even means. Let me get something that could act like a sensor to explain this a little better. So here, I'll use this piece of junk we got laying around. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. I never actually got to formally thank you guys, so thank you for this. So let's take this everyday item of a YouTube golden play button for 1 million subscribers and pretend that this is a full frame sensor. That's what the size of this sensor is. And we have a full frame lens on a full frame system, and we're shooting just straight up. Now, the lens is projecting a circle. That circle is going to hit basically the corners of this sensor, and it's cropping that circle to be a rectangle, your frame, your image, right? Now let's say you take that same lens that's projecting that same size circle, and this sensor, poof, becomes crop sensor, APS-C, smaller. So now the lens is projecting a circle out to here instead of right to the edge. That means that you are cropping into that image, you're punching right in. That means you're getting a different field of view. It's a crop factor, starting to make sense, right? So that's all well and good, but we're talking about medium format here. Well, reverse that. So if a medium format lens has to project a circle big enough to cover a medium format sensor, which is larger than both what we just talked about, then it's going to appear a little wider, just as if it feels more punched in or zoomed in when we have it cropped. So it's kind of interesting the way it works, but it makes sense when you break it down like that and you look at those numbers and you go, okay, I know what full frame 50mm looks like in my head. There's going to be a field of view field that equates to that in crop sensor or medium format. It's just that the number is going to be different on the focal length. So when you look at a crop sensor and it says a number, you know that that number actually means it's a little bit more higher than that in field, right? Like 18 might actually feel like a 24 or whatever. And medium format is the same way. Well, this 25mm, you're saying, wouldn't that equal a 16mm full frame? No, actually, because you have to go to that camera specific spec of their crop factor, and the X2D's crop factor is 0.79. 0.79 crop factor multiplied by the focal length you're using will give you probably 25 times 0.79 is like 19 and some change. They're going to tell you it's actually field of view wise of a 20mm on full frame. So you get the sense that that 25mm on that Hasselblad actually probably feels a little wider than you would think it would if you're trying to equate it to the feel of what a full frame lens would be like. So that's kind of how that works. I know it's a little weird, but you just gotta keep in your mind that if it's a smaller sensor, it's cropping in. If it's a larger sensor, it's giving you a little bit more coverage, so you're getting a wider field of view. It's not really changing the lens. It's really just how much of it's being cropped on the sensor based on its size and surface area. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here, aren't I? Nope, stop right here. Keeping with the lens talk, let's jump into this Nikon 28mm to 400mm f4 to f8. And yeah, that is a massive focal range. And you know, there's trade-offs to that, and we'll talk about that in a second. But in the comments, Summit92 Artist is asking, why are there always people who are bashing these all-purpose lenses in the comments? Do they not realize that different people have different needs? These lenses are for people like me, and they go on a whole list about the cool stuff they shoot, and that's awesome. It's really cool to see people talk about what they're psyched on shooting and feel that energy through the comments, because yeah, the bashing comments are pretty draining. So not every lens is for everyone, not every camera is for everyone, not every system is for everyone, and not every method is for everyone. We are infinite. There are infinite people and types of shooting situations you're in, what you're trying to get out of, what your end result that you're aiming for is, your budget, whatever it is, we're all different. And these all-purpose lenses, I see this, you know, quote unquote snobbery coming out where it's like, oh no, I can't shoot with something that goes to f8 because this goes to f8 as you zoom. Yeah, f8 closes down, and that means that you lose light. That means that you probably don't get the bokeh that you might be wanting from something like an f2.8 or 1.2. And maybe that person doesn't care. Maybe they don't even know why something like that be worth a $3,000 investment, right? Some of the lenses that people snob out about are really up there in price. Let's say you're someone who's just starting out and you buy a camera. Now you're going to start collecting lenses, and you kind of go into it with 3 lenses, maybe 5 lenses, and then you realize you're only really using 1 or 2 lenses, and you're kind of getting bogged down by the fact that you burned a lot of money on lenses you're not even picking up. You could be someone that picks up a camera for the first time, buys something that's like this kind of all-purpose lens. I hate saying all-purpose, but it's a very versatile lens as far as being wide and telephoto. And then you use it for a few months, and then you look back at those shots and you realize, oh, I actually shoot pretty wide. I'm not even using the telephoto part of this. I keep it 50mm or wider, and I'm a wide angle type shooter. And I mean, that comes from my BMX days. We're not going to get into that. Or you could be someone that goes, wow, I really noticed I'm shooting 200, 300, 400mm, and you're looking for those long range shots. You're seeing images that way. Your habits of shooting, the images you want to take, your style of shooting is calling for those tools, and you have them in that lens. And then that's when you start making decisions of, okay, so do I invest in higher end glass to get faster apertures, to get better and lower light, or drop my ISO lower to make a cleaner image, or get a different look to the image overall, one way or another, whatever it is. That's when you can start really finding out who you are, what type of creator you are, and then start really investing in the tools that'll get you to that next level, get you to that next thing that you want, what you're trying to attain, whatever you're unable to do now, but at least you're making informed, educated decisions from experience about what to move into. So I urge you guys to kind of keep it easy in those comments. If something's not for you, there's someone out there that it is for, and bashing it really just turns people off to the craft, to being part of this community, and we've got to be better than that. What I will say though is, all-purpose lenses, quote unquote, or these super versatile lenses have gotten exponentially better over the years. I mean, the close focusing distance, the sharpness, the weight, the size, the focus breathing, everything's just gotten better and better and better. So even if it's what you would consider not top end, I bet you it's still really good and definitely better than what we've had in the past. So before you bash, give it a try or try to see someone else's perspective of where they're coming from pertaining to something like this. Oof, this one's been a lot, huh? But listen, if you guys have any favorite videos from the channel or all the channels under Adorama, the live events channel, everything, and there's something you want to know about, there's another question unanswered, there's a topic you want to expand on, BTS you want to know about, hit me with a comment, give me the title of the video, let me know what you want to talk about, and maybe I'll bring it up on some future episodes, replay, reply. That'd be awesome. But you can check out my work at Last X Witness on all social, Instagram, yell at me on Twitter, all that stuff. Don't forget to subscribe and the bell to get notified when I put more videos, because we put out a video pretty much every day, and it's been 14 years of every day. So there's a lot to go through, and we're just getting started on this series. But I really hope I get to see you guys down in those comments. Be good to each other. We'll see you on the next one. Later.